Welcome to your weekly program, Blahdan, a show with an accent for those without one. Speaking for those with an accent, I think, with those election of Trump and all this executive order that he's been issuing every day, tweeting in the evening and making executive order in the morning, 2 a day since he came to power. But the one that really concern us and concern the people with an accent, all those executive order about banning Muslims from entering this country and immigration, and a lot of chaos about those executive order. What are they? What's the implication? Are they constitutional? Has a constitutional base, and it's even causing chaos in our federal agencies. They don't know law enforcement, homeland security, immigration. They don't know what to do. So to sort this out, we have here Bruce Nestor. He's an immigration attorney, and he's been following this for quite some time. Welcome to Blahdan, Bruce.
Thank you for having me.
What is an executive order anyway?
So the executive branch also has the ability to pass regulations. Regulations normally go through a notice period where you have to publish what the regulation is going to be. You get public comment, and then some final version gets published. An executive order would be more of a broad policy statement or something passed without going through that regulatory process.
Vigorous.
And it would be seen as more something that would flow from the power of the president to enforce a law or to carry out the law through the executive branch.
As a head of those agencies.
As the head of those agencies, that's
so right. I am the head of the environmental or an immigration office or department, whatever, and I got this executive order about banning people from Syria and Iraq and the country we've been bombing. How would I look at it? I mean, does that executive order has details in it? How to do it?
Some do and some don't.
But some of this, to implement the executive order, you have to have a budget. You have to have money. Let's say you send it to an agency and they don't have the budget to do it.
Well, it's hard to say what Trump's real objective here. Is it just to blow things up metaphorically, and do you get your base excited and to get your opposition excited, or is it to really change things? It's probably some of both. But one of his executive orders, the first one, was to announce a hiring freeze. Then his executive orders on immigration direct that 10,000 new immigration officers be hired, 5,000 new Border Patrol agents. Just as you were saying, that money isn't there. And it also contradicts the executive order that he issued earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell, is he serious about hiring those 15,000 new immigration agents and Border Patrol agents? On the one hand, you could say he is, because after all, those unions of those ICE workers and immigration agents endorsed him because they thought he would hire more of them. And on the other hand, the money's not there to do it. And it's not at all certain that they're going to get the money or want the money to do it.
The executive order cannot contradict the Constitution. It has to be constitutional.
That's right. Any enforcement action.
So some legal, takes, they have to look at it.
And that's why a judge in Seattle now has put the entire Muslim ban on hold. The first judges just ruled that the United States government couldn't deport people who had made it to a U.S. airport with a valid visa, but the first judges didn't order that people be allowed into the country or be allowed to travel.
Oh, I see.
Just yesterday,
we got excited.
But just yesterday, a district court judge in Seattle, who was appointed by President Bush, ruled that the entire ban was unlawful and ordered that anybody holding a previously valid visa be allowed to be admitted to the United States.
I heard somewhere when you cancel visa, I mean, it take about 3 months to process and to get yay or nay or whatever, but he put them on 120 days.
And that's the argument now, is are these visas canceled so that you have to reapply and get a new one? Or does this judge's order out of Seattle somehow restore the validity of the visas that people had?
Sounds very good. So, in your judgment, your opinion, those banning those people from coming from 7 countries, is this a ban on Muslims?
Yes, I mean
that's practicality.
You have to put it. You have to look at what what Trump was saying when he was running for president. And what
But that's not illegal.
it certainly is to ban people on the basis of their religion and or national origin.
So can you refuse executing this based on that illegality of it? You say this is a ban on people based on their religion. I'm not going to do it.
Right, and that's why some federal judges, that's why Sally Yates, the acting attorney general, said that she wouldn't defend it.
I see.
Because she said you could only understand these orders in the context of what Trump said about them before he was president.
That's interesting because she choose anybody in her position will just resign,
Yes.
and she's not to. She chose not to make a point. Was it
She chose to make a point and to get fired for it.
fire and then being just resign?
Yeah.
Take us through the ban Muslim or those 7 countries. What is the practical of it? How does it work? You have thousands of people at the airport, and then what?
Well, I mean, it's clear that, again, the policy was about politics, about show, about creating fear, and about unifying the most reactionary elements of his base. Because as a policy, it makes no sense. I mean, one day they announce it and they don't allow people with permanent residency or green cards to enter.
And then
The next day they go on the talk shows and they say, it did apply to green cards, but now it's not going to. And so they backtrack. There was just no thought given to the degree to which it applied. It applies to business executives traveling from those countries, professional athletes traveling from those countries, maybe if the World Cup is held here, or tennis tournaments, or NBA players. It applies to returning graduate students who are coming back to PhD
But if you are an
programs.
Arab and rich, well, they're not going to apply to you. I mean, the people come business and doing millions of.
Well, that's to be seen. Obviously, it allows for waiver on a case-by-case basis, and the better connected you are, the more likely you are to get that. But it's also true that it didn't apply to certain countries, and I don't point that out to argue that it should have.
No, I see.
Only that it was,
If it's a
didn't
safety
pick
issue.
on certain people, right? Didn't want to pick on rich Saudis as
Yes,
opposed to
Saudis,
Yemenis and Syrians.
If the issue 9/11, most of people were Saudis. They committed 9/11.
That's right.
And the head of them was Egyptian.
That's right.
I mean, that based on what? So based on that logic, that's very confusing. That the various country they've been under watch.
But there's precisely no logic behind it. And that's another reason to try to challenge it as an executive order, is that the president has broad power to regulate immigration, broad power for national security, but there still has to have some rational basis, rational explanation for it. Keeping out people who've already been through a visa process, who are married to a U.S. citizen, keeping out young children, keeping out graduate students who have been enrolled at universities. It's such a clearly irrational policy that it is political theater designed both to unite your kind of the most hard right parts.
Promises he made during the campaign.
That's right, and to create fear among people, tremendous fear against speaking up, speaking out.
I just wrote a piece about Trump is el-Sisi of America. And when you look at how he came to power after 8 years of let's say progressive, first black person, whatever, and that really galvanized opposition and Christian rights and far rights, whatever. Also, el-Sisi came after a year from Morsi and Brotherhood and Islamists, and people reacted whatever. And so el-Sisi came to save Egypt from all this Brotherhood and Islamists, and he promised people to do that, but they have to accept his lies and his massacre and his violation. And the same thing with Trump.
I mean, it does reflect that there's tremendous disillusionment with government and a tremendous lack of faith in government among many people. And that what I really think the weakness of the election is what the opposition to Trump was. People could not unite behind someone. You know, I mean, it is worth remembering he lost the popular vote by a large margin still. But was able to get into office with a plurality of American voters.
But this guy, you know, I don't want to have a sweeping statement about it, but he has a lot of fake business, fake lifestyle, fake TV show. I mean, he lived in reality that's almost fake or delusional or TV reality.
Right. Everything about him is his value.
Yeah.
He's not worth as much as he says.
Exactly.
He borrows other
He's
people's
Christian
money.
now.
He transfers his debt to other people. It's all about image and it's lying.
But the same guy, he's accusing everybody of being fake. Media fake, election was fake, people was, voted fake, millions of people voted, that's why he didn't win the popular vote.
Right.
And people accept that. So let's talk about the people behind this guy.
So I think it's important, though, not to just focus on all his personal.
Policy.
They're going to rob the government blind.
And he is just a diversion. He's like the clown in a circus to divert you from what abuse is happening in the circus.
That's certainly part of it. But he's also unpredictable. And so there's elements of people who traditionally hold power in this country who aren't necessarily satisfied with him, even if they think they're going to accomplish tax cuts and less
so
regulation.
they are taking a lot of risk by supporting him.
That can be, yeah. But people took that, you know, and I don't like historical analogies, but people took that same risk with Hitler, the German financiers, the German regular army, traditional conservative interests, thinking that they could control him and that he would help them achieve their interests. I don't know to what degree people are going to put up with Trump.
But Hitler was like a deep ideologue. He really believed in in his supremacy and his But this guy doesn't believe in anything.
He did, and he had to. Germany was a truly traumatized nation at that time, emerging out of the Depression and World War I. Where this comes from, it does appear even more on the. Again, but to get back to this executive order, it's about show and about creating fear than it is about a substantive policy, because it's just so poorly thought out.
But hundreds of thousands of people, even millions, have been suffered because of this theoretical political theater.
Yes.
But this is the reality that people are going through: family breaking up, separation, and so. I know the ACLU is stepping in, and they're getting a lot of support now and try to help some of those. What is the legal service or legal help that can be offered to those people stranded in airports?
Well, so as of yesterday, a Seattle District Court judge appointed by Bush actually put the entire program on hold.
But they're going to challenge that.
They are, and so we'll have to see where that goes. I mean, lawyers have been camping out at airports to provide individual assistance to people, and then lawyers on behalf of individuals and states and organizations have been filing lawsuits against it. The order out of Seattle has gone the farthest so far in terms of putting the entire exclusionary process on hold and ordering that visa holders be allowed into the United States from these 7 countries.
el-Sisi, when he sees a judge that does something like that, challenge his draconian policy, that he fires him.
Right.
Trump is doing that.
Well, Trump fortunately doesn't have the power to fire federal judges.
Because he's elected.
But he's gone after them and attacked them in these very odd, personal, 3 a.m. tweet attacks. But again, it's so easy to ridicule him. But it's, I think, important to a lot of people don't care that he's kind of uncouth or uncivilized or breaks barriers if he's going to do what he says he does. And so it's worth talking about what he actually does not just about the media sideshow that he creates.
Well, yeah, that's a very interesting point, because really the media is been manipulated to have like an issue every day.
Yes.
And then you forget about what he did yesterday.
Yes.
So every day what Trump tweeted, what Trump is going to do. But that's not how we kind of focus and galvanize people.
No, it allows him to totally seize the agenda in any way, because he's a master at manipulating the media, which wants spectacle and wants conflict.
So, what do you expect? What's going to happen?
I can't tell you.
He's unpredictable
I mean,
now, because
we're about
do we have
2
enough,
weeks into it. And
do we have enough check and balance? Do we have enough smart people to really make sure this guy would not, be out of hand?
I answer that question by saying all he needs to do is to cause or hope for another attack, preferably on United States soil for the Trump administration, which can be characterized as a terrorist attack. And if that happens, all checks and balances are off.
That's
the ability of a Trump presidency with a compliant Congress controlled by more mainstream Republicans in the face of another attack that's called a terrorist attack. All bets are off. All power can be centralized. We can have any level of security, militarization, any number of bans on immigration and travel, and they'll
even worse than
be
that.
supported. And it's been very heartening, of course, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have demonstrated against this executive order. It's worth remembering, though, that in pre-election polling, 58% of the American people expressed support for these types of bans or for a Muslim registry. And so there's a deep, deep pool of sentiment in the United States of racism and religious bigotry that's been cultivated for decades, that exists and that this plays to. There are many, many people of good faith and good face who have come together to oppose it, but I don't think we can just write it off as something that a lunatic or a madman is doing. He may be both, but he's also a calculating lunatic.
Does it now, where we are in now, does it feel like post 9/11? It feels different than post 9/11.
It does.
And that's scary for a lot of people, because of this unpredictability things. You just don't know what to do.
Yes.
Let me read something here. I don't know what, I just like that. He's talking about Trump and how he was able to control all this. I mean, this guy beheaded about 14 traditional career politicians during the debates,
Yes.
Republican, in public. He beheading them.
Yes.
In public spectacle. So he's not that lightweight. I mean, this guy can bully things and gets his way if he just know what he wants. But it would say, to control modern state these days, it's not about persecuting innocent people. It's about protecting the guilty.
To be fair, impunity has always been coupled with the violence that's committed in the name of the United States. President Obama didn't hold anybody accountable for the torture absolutely seriously and not just dismiss them as a sideshow. He's trying to consolidate power and will continue to do so with a lot of, access to a lot of levers of power. And he's trying to consolidate power by uniting the most reactionary segment of the American population behind him and dragging along the rest of the traditional conservatives with him, who are eager for tax relief and regulations to go down and for unfettered business to earn their profit. And they'll put up with what are more of the social agenda, attacks on Muslims, attacks on
is this, some people,
gays and lesbians,
Trump is really a reaction to 8 years of Obama. Do you believe in that? What are we going to, like, progressive, relatively, in the last 50 years, whatever, and Trump is just an aberration and is gonna like a hiccup?
I view it as not so much in that short term. I think Trump is a reaction to the breaking down of the way that the people who run the world have been able to run it post-World War II.
Ignoring a lot of people.
I mean, mass poverty, mass violations of human rights, continuing conflict, the 2008 financial collapse. Nobody has really made changes in that. The consumption of oil and resources to destroy the planet. People know that the system's breaking down, that the traditional
Not delivering.
neoliberal models isn't delivering. And there's no alternative. There was no strong, coherent alternative on the left that held out a different vision.
I think you're
And
right.
so you then get someone who recognizes that it's breaking down and appeals to people's worst fears and most narrow prejudices, and people lash out in order to, as a recognition that the system is breaking down, not just as a reaction to President Obama.
I think voting for Trump was, in a way, a lashing out.
I think so.
That's something.
And to me, it's again, it's a recognition that throughout the globe, the model of how to hold power, how to hold financial power is breaking down, and it's being challenged. But what's going to emerge, what's going to be new, nobody knows yet. And there's not a unity about a different path that's a progressive path.
Well, on that positive note, well, thanks so much, Bruce. Bruce Nestor is an immigration lawyer, attorney here in the Twin Cities, and he's been following all this bizarre executive orders that is coming out of the White House every day. We'll see you next week. Salaam alaikum, and God bless you all. We're downtown here, downtown Minneapolis, in the front of the federal building, where hundreds or thousands of people are gathering to protest the ban of Muslims from executive order from Donald Trump, and people with their sign, bringing their family, their dogs, and chanting, kind of galvanized energy to protest a country of immigrants that stopping and banning immigrants from coming to this country. And we have here somebody who is, I think this sign was a hit all over the nation. We are the people. Tell us a little bit your name and why you are here.
My name is Mary. I'm coming from Wisconsin. I'm here because, well, for a number of reasons. I don't believe a ban on a person of certain religion is justifiable by any means. And I have Japanese background, and it wasn't long ago that people in my family would have been put in internment camps in the United States. I don't want to go back to that.
The workers are very galvanized. We have students at the university who are of all faiths, so this is a concern to us. And thank you for calling an apple and admitting that he's racist, misogynistic, and Islamophobic.
Because some of my friends are refugees.
Oh, really? So you know some refugees? How are they?
They're nice.
Nice people? They are friends? Neighbors?
Friends.
My name's Ahmed also, and I'm here with my kids, Zaid, Layla, and my wife, Laura. And we're here to make our presence felt and make sure that we show resistance to the current changes happening, and to teach our children the rights that we have here in America to protest and to be involved.
I'm Iraqi. I come from Iraq. My parents are from there. I was born in Saudi Arabia. We were refugees in Saudi Arabia, and we were placed in San Diego, Minnesota, and then San Diego, California, and then we came to Minnesota. My parents went through 8 years in refugee camps. It was horrible. That's where I was born. I don't remember much of it, but the stories that they tell us about all the things they had to go through in those camps are just horrific. I can't even imagine someone going through it. And as we know, millions and millions of people are going through it right now in Syria, in Yemen, in all those countries. And our president is not giving them refuge. I wish that we weren't part of their displacement, but we are.
You know, you are putting a nice face on the tragedy of the refugees, and you are actually experiencing your family or what have you. And what is your family now, and how this is banning affecting your family and your personal?
Personally, because my family went through it, like I said, I can't even imagine how these people are feeling to be left out, to say, no, you can't come here. for the mere fact that you're refugees and you might cause crime in our country. You might.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know a ton of Iraqis that are here. They're well off. They got jobs. They're going to school full time. So they're doing a lot for the country.
So my name is Devin, and I'm here in solidarity with the people whom I know that are Muslim, and just to show Trump that we're not going to let him do this, and we're not going to stay silent while he tries to make all these unconstitutional acts happen and bring white supremacy back into America in a more strong way than ever.
Muslims are criminal, are terrorists, ban them all.
Yeah.
Ban all Muslims for next 4 years.
Yeah.
But at the meantime, if you do that, you must bring our military back from predominantly Muslim country, cut business tie and diplomatic tie with all Muslim country. And if you do that, you got my vote. Otherwise, you must quit.